For this lesson, we're going to look at graphing polynomial functions, and we're going to use the graphing calculator. So you'll need a graphing calculator to follow along. First of all, you're going to turn the calculator on and go to New Document. There'll be a menu, and you want to choose Add Graph. So we're going to be graphing the functions. And then you'll see this grid. This is where you're going to enter the function. So we'll look at the function 3x squared plus 2. You're going to use the x key at the bottom of the calculator and the exponent key. It's like a little hat to the left of the number 4 for exponents. After you enter the exponent, you will have to move your cursor out of the exponent font just using the right arrow, and then hit enter. Notice your function bar has disappeared from the bottom. You can get it back by selecting Control G. Then you can enter more functions. Notice it comes back with f2 of x. This is so you can do a second function on the same grid. If you need to edit your original equation, select the arrow icon on the bottom right of the screen, and you can move the cursor back up to the equation that you need to edit. Some of the other things that you can do to play with your graph: you can insert grid lines, move your cursor to a blank part of the graph page and select Control Menu. You will get some options. Choose number 2, Hide and Show, and then number 4, Lined Grid. You might need to zoom in or out. So move your cursor to a blank part of the graph page and select Control Menu. You will get some options. Choose number 4, Window Zoom, and then choose how you would like to zoom your graph, either in or out. If you seem to be stuck on a graph, just try pressing Escape. You'll go back to the main menu, hopefully, and you can start over. To go to another page, to enter a new graph, you can select Control Dock, right here, and then add number 2, Add Graph. There are many, many more things that can be done, but that should be enough to get you started for this lesson at least. Okay, so let's try and graph this function. So remember, go to New Document, Add Graphs, and then you're going to enter this function, negative 3x cubed minus 4x plus 2 in the function bar. And hit enter, and your graph should look something like this. So we're going to just look at the graph now and determine the characteristics. So we want to know the number of x-intercepts. Well, there's only going to be one. So x-intercept, oops, there's 1. And we can see from the graph that it is at about 0.5. So we can write that down. The y-intercept, there's 1 of those. And we can see on the graph that it crosses the y-axis at y equals 2. The end behavior, the graph starts out in quadrant 2, and it ends in quadrant 4. For the domain will always be the same for all 4 types of polynomial functions. All x values are allowed, and they're all real numbers. So x, such that x is an element of the real numbers. Or you can write it in interval notation, negative infinity to positive infinity. The range for a cubic function will be all real numbers as well. So same thing, y, such that y is an element of the real numbers, or interval notation, whichever you prefer. So now you can do practice 2 using the calculator. If you get stuck, you can follow the instructions on the Smartboard file or in the textbook.